Hello, this is Traeger, Pediatrician with Advocate Medical Group. Today we're going to talk about bike carriers and their safety and use with your children. Before we talk about the specific options that are available to you, I want to review a couple different things with you. Number one, helmets, essential all the time. Your kids need to be wearing them and you need to be wearing them, not only for their safety, but for your safety, and also to be a really good role model for them. So start the habit early. Anything that rolls, they need to be wearing their helmet for. The second thing is when you're out with your kids on the bike carriers, make sure that you're following the rules of the road. Try and stick with trails and bike paths and sidewalks when you can, but when you do have to get out on the street, make sure that you're signaling, make sure that you're visible, and just make sure that you're not doing anything to get yourself hurt. So just be safe and everything will be great. So there's a couple different options when it comes to bike carriers. Generally two different categories. The first is the kind that is pulled behind the bicycle, and then the other type that are attached directly to the frame. Now, a lot of parents will tell me that they don't like the pull behind carrier because they see it as a big object, something that's more likely to be hit or clipped by a car or something like that. And really the research doesn't support that. Probably the safest thing for you to do with your kids when you're on a bike carrier is to be in the pull behind kind. It's a large object, much more visible to be seen, and people will maybe pay attention to you a little bit better when you're doing that. Having said that, when they're in the bike carrier, the pull behind, or any of the different options, they're wearing the helmet. Even though they're not on a bike, they're in a carrier, they should be wearing their helmets 100% of the time. Also, make sure that they're strapped in, wearing the seatbelt and the shoulder straps. And when they're in the carrier, make sure that they're safe. That the straps aren't going to choke them if they were to fall asleep. Be careful with giving foods or some snacks when they're in the carrier, because you could always hit a bump and they could choke. And then you aren't right next to them, so you won't see that they're doing that. So you have to be extra careful with that too. But give them toys, give them things to play with. That's great. As long as it's developmentally appropriate and they're not going to choke on little pieces, then that's great. Let them be in the carrier with some toys. That's really, really good. The other options are those that are attached directly to the frames. There's three different kinds of those. There's the ones that are behind the seat. Now those seem to be much more common back when we were kids. Everybody was seen with those, and you're being lugged around, and they're great. Especially if you get one that has a really high back, something that the seat comes above the back of the helmet, and that way if the bike was able to tip over, then they were going to be protected kind of in a cocoon. They're a little bit more cumbersome because they're sitting behind you and you have to spend a lot of time reaching over your shoulder or looking over your shoulder to talk to them, and it's not quite as intimate as being up front. Now personally, this is the one that I like. We like having them up front because they're right between your legs and you can talk to them and you can point different things out on the road, and the kids really love it. My kids just absolutely love this part of it. The things that we talk about on bike trips are just things you just don't get anywhere else. It's really cool. This one attaches in the crossbar, but there's others that actually sit more forward underneath the handlebars. The ones that are underneath the handlebars do take a little bit more skill to operate. But they do give you more leg room. So a lot of women, my wife especially, she says, when this is between your legs, it's just kind of hard because your knees can bump into it, and so this isn't as comfortable for her. Using the carrier that's attached to the bike itself does take a little bit more technical skill to operate, but with a little bit of practice, you will be just fine. The other thing is with these, the carriers that are attached directly to the bike, you're much more likely to have a falling over injury. So the kids either falls off the seat because they weren't wearing the seatbelt or you're still in the process of putting them on, or the bike were to tip over. So those are your major injury points there. As long as you're nice and easy and safe getting them up there, then it's usually pretty good. And in the beginning especially, two people, another person to hold the bike while you're getting them on is really helpful. So hopefully this has been helpful for you guys. If you have any questions or need anything at any time, feel free to give us a call. Again, this is Traeger, Pediatrician with Advocate Medical Group. Thank you.